A winner of all 9 of his pitching decisions in 1990, left-hander Steve Boskus headlined what must be considered to be the best starting pitching staff in Eastern baseball history. On that 1990 national championship team, Steve was the opening day starter, sparked the team from an early slump with a no-hit performance 3 weeks later, then pitched within an out of complete games in regional and national tournament opening wins. In the final start of his career, Steve threw 7 shutout innings, allowing only 3 hits until the 8th, in an 8-4 win over Cal State San Bernardino, which set the stage for 4 straight tournament wins and the program's 2nd national championship. As a senior, Steve threw complete games in 5 of his 10 starts, including 4 in a row. The second of those 4 straight complete games came in a 7-inning no-hit performance where he allowed only 3 balls out of the infield.
We had a great group of seniors who really, I feel, led the team, and we were there practicing early in the morning in February and March, and it just takes a lot of commitment, and that's what was there. The whole, and everybody, all the players just showed a great deal of commitment and desire.
It is a pleasure for me to be here and talk about Steve Boskus going into Eastern's Hall of Fame. An outstanding human being, first and foremost, who brought something to our table, to our team, to the university, beyond the game of baseball. His leadership, maturity, was a forerunner for this team of 1990 to be as successful as it was. Steve came after his sophomore year, and from Cape Cod, around about one of my friends, coaching friends, Bob Karate from Mass Maritime, recommended Steve to come to Eastern. And Steve showed up in 1988, 89, and right from the beginning, he led our program on and off the field. His maturity level was far beyond the normal junior in college. And Steve started us off 1-7 in Hawaii in 1989, and he had 2 losses over there, and there was no one that buried their head. Steve told the guys we're going to work harder, and we did work harder on and off the field. Steve was an example both in the classroom, off the field, and on the field for everyone to be proud of and to follow. He was not captain of our team, but everyone was a captain along with Steve. Chris Kabalka said Steve was a quiet leader and didn't have to yell and scream, just did it by example. Not saying much, a little smile on his face, a little smirk on his face, and said, guys, we're going to be good. And that team was a bunch of competitive young men that grew up pretty fast, and amongst every ball player contributed, to make that team special. And Steve Boskus was the focal point. And I am very proud of Steve and beyond the baseball field. Steve graduated in education, physical education, now is a guidance counselor up in Nauset High School in Cape Cod, and is an example of a student athlete going beyond the baseball field. And yes, we won the national championship. Yes, Steve Boskus was All-American. And yes, Steve Boskus was one of our leaders on the field. But yes, Steve Boskus in this world is more than just a baseball player. He's a heck of a father, has a daughter and son that are outstanding. And he leads, young men now and women, in a positive way. And so Steve Boskus, yes, helped us win a national championship, but he's making more, of life, beyond the baseball field. And I'm very proud of Steve Boskus.
We had 4 1s. Steve was 1A. He was the ace of the aces. Steve set the tone. He set the tone in the weight room. He set the tone when we ran. He set the tone for all of us because of just his desire, his determination. He opened the year for us. He started the regional, and he started the World Series for us, is because he set the tone. Steve was great. He pounded the strike zone. I think in '90 he was undefeated. He was very, he put the team at an ease.
Steve is top 3 in my book of people as far as integrity and a man who carries himself with character. You know, he's a quiet gentleman, very much a class act who, you know, I'm proud to call a friend.
He was very intense. He was a calm intense, because when you looked at Steve, you'd never know the fire that burns inside, but that kid was as competitive as anyone else on that team.
He pushes himself. He's you know, one of the most quietly competitive men I've ever met, and he's got that leadership about him where you're attracted to a person like that just to be around him, because you know that he's going to make you a better person.
Those that would watch Steve Boskus pitch would say he's very businesslike out there. Doesn't show a lot of emotion, does what he has to do, we move on.
We were down on a lake, and my sons and we were witnessing Steve row across the lake. However, there was 35-mile-an-hour winds blowing against him. 45 minutes to an hour went by, and here comes Steve on the boat. And I said, "What happened?" I said, "Did the boat have a hole in it? Were you visiting a neighbor?" And he said, "No, I was running some steps." So I said, great, you know, at your age, good for you. You know, what are these steps? Tell me about it. He said, well, you know, it's close to 100 steps and pretty steep. And I knew the steps he was talking about, and I knew that it would be very difficult for me to do it one time. I asked him, you know, with a grin, how many times you do it, 2 or 3? And he proceeded to tell me, no, 30 times.
We had 4 All-Americans that actually played in the college all-star game in Fenway Park.
Looks like it's going to be Steve Boskus from that national championship team, Eastern Connecticut, left-hander. Not a bad record himself this year, 9-0.
It had to be such a great thrill for Steve Boskus, being from Massachusetts, to be able to play in Fenway Park. Ended up getting 2 Division I players out, one of which I think was a player by the name of Mark Sweeney from the University of Maine that I think went on to play Major League Baseball and had an excellent career. Steve struck him out and struck out a player from Boston College in just typical Boskus fashion, dominated.
At this time, it is my pleasure to present Steve Boskus to be inducted into the E-Club Hall of Fame in 2015.